Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yonah Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yonah Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yonah Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yonah Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yonah Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yonah head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yonah branch located countrywide near you.
So thank you very much, Honorable, for having you. It seems like the government has released the white paper. What is your take?
Thank you very much. My take on the white paper is, look, the country is more important than any single individual citizen in this country. And what we did as a government is to do the right thing. That is to give justice to all the victims and to make sure that there is a court set up and every individual who is accused will have their day in court and the judicial system will take its course and then there will be fair play. If you are accused, you will have your day, either clear yourself or you are convicted. But we are going to see Gambia first and not an individual situation.
As a minister, and you are also part of this government, do you think the process of the implementation will go very fast?
Yes, definitely it will go very fast. I'm sure you heard what the Honorable Minister of Justice said. There is going to be a special court established within the court system. There will be a special prosecutor appointed for this purpose. So that just shows you how serious the government is in expediting this process. The fact that there will be a special court within the court system, there will be collaboration with international organizations and international jurisdictions. That means you can even be tried outside for security considerations and other factors. And the fact that a special prosecutor will be in place, that is all geared towards making the process as fast as possible, but also as transparent, but also as standard as possible, because we want to make sure that the standard is met, that our system in prosecuting is as good as every international standard, so that at the end of the day, nobody feels cheated. Everybody feels justice was done.
Finally, what message do you have for the victims and for every Gambian?
The message I have for the victims is to have a trust in the system. What has happened has happened. We cannot reverse the course of time, but we can assure the victims as a government that under the leadership of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, the government is committed to justice, and the government is committed to reparation, and the government is committed to healing, and then finally for reconciliation.
Thank you very much. But first, what is your reaction to the publication of the white paper on the Trrc recommendations and reports?
Well, I'd like to commend the state finally for trying to draw down a curtain on what has been a very major national enterprise, one of the flagship programs of the transition government. It's a very important day because it is a day that victims will ultimately know what is the state's reaction to what has been an important historical process. My reaction to, first of all, I would say my understanding of the act, the law, is quite clear. This is not just like any other commission. This is not a Jana commission. The Yonah Commission was established pursuant to a constitutional provision, was under the Constitution. This one is an act of parliament. It's an act of parliament, it was gazetted, and so the jurisdiction is very clear. Unlike the Yonah Commission, where not even the government, the president can react to recommendations. This one is very clear as to the limitations imposed on the government in this particular matter. So I would say that my considered view, is that the government has only one option, and that is to propose how it intends to implement the recommendations of the commission. But it does not have any discretion. The government does not have any discretion to choose, to pick and choose. This we agree, this we do not agree. This we will do, this we will not do.
Are you not okay with the style, the way the report is being presented? Because you're differentiating now the Yonah Commission and then the Trrc.
Well, what I'm saying is that in terms of because there are two different commissions. This is also a commission, but this is a commission that is created by an act of parliament. The Yonah Commission is a commission that is created pursuant to the Constitution. There are two different things. The president can set up any commission today because there is a constitutional provision that empowers the state to do so. This one, the government chose a different route. They went through an act of parliament, National Assembly, to create a Trrc. And so the difference is when you create a statute, and the statute defines how an implementation should be conducted, you cannot do anything outside that. And so therefore, my view is that the government does not reserve any discretion in terms of its implementation. The act is very clear. It says the government can only propose how it intends to implement the recommendations of the Trrc. So, except if a recommendation is contained in the report, which is inconsistent with any provision of the act itself. Then
So are you saying that the government can only propose, but they cannot implement the Trrc?
No. The government must implement. But the only thing the government can do with the report is to propose how it intends to implement the recommendations of the commission, but not in that proposal state we will accept this recommendation and we will reject this recommendation. It does not have the discretion to pick and choose what recommendation it intends to implement and which it does not intend to implement. So here are a set of recommendations. The government is obligated under law to say, well, these are the recommendations. We cannot change the recommendations, but this is how we propose to implement those recommendations.
So there are recommendations that they have accepted, and there are recommendations that, of course, they did not accept from the Trrc recommendations. But now, what were you expecting to be done to ensure this go in line with what you were talking about?
Well, I understand that two recommendations were rejected, and they were rejected on grounds of fair hearing, that they were not granted an opportunity to be heard, and so forth, and they were not also invited by the Trrc to deliver a perspective on the allegations made against them. I quite agree. No one should be condemned unheard. Everyone who is a subject of an adverse findings by a commission of this nature should have had an opportunity to be heard by that commission. So if you do not have the opportunity to be heard and you are condemned, then it is a denial of fair hearing. It is a denial of your constitutional right. I understand that can be the case. But the only thing the government can do in those circumstances, is to allow the people who are affected to apply whatever judicial remedy available to them. They can go to court and say, well, the recommendations are against my rights, and the Constitution grants me the right of fair hearing. I have not been heard. I have been denied a right to be heard. And so then there's going to be a determination as to what the issues in controversy are. But here, except that crimes against humanity cannot also be forgiven. I understand that the Commission recommended an amnesty for Sana Sabali, and in which the government could not, because crimes against humanity are exempted. I understand that. I agree with the government on that. On a legal principle, the ground is clear. The Act itself makes an exemption to that crimes against humanity are exempted. They cannot fall under the category of a pardon. So if the Commission makes any recommendation that is at variance with the provision setting up the commission itself, I can understand the government not implementing that recommendation because it would be unlawful. It would be unlawful because it would be contrary to a provision contained in the act itself. So in that case, I can understand that. But you don't make an argument for other people, like in the case of what they say, findings by mercenary judges. A finding and a recommendation is very technical, But it is not for the government to determine what is a finding and what is a recommendation, because it is very clear in the report what findings are and what recommendations are.
Okay. So moving forward, the recommendations, the white paper need to be implemented. What would be your message to government, to President Barrow, about the implementation, because there's a whole lot of victims affected?
Strictly, apply strictly, and with speed. We have no time to waste anymore. We've spent so much time, an entire 5 years on this process. The victims have been waiting. They have been very patient. We need closure. It is time that we move to implementation stage. A white paper has been issued. Now, the white paper is in substance in compliance with the act, with the TRC Act itself. And so now we must not let it cool down. We must move into implementation stage now. And now it's time to move into implementation stage. I know that the government is also mulling the idea of a victims bill. That would also be very helpful. Perhaps they, would like to define various procedures and actions they intend to implement. I don't know yet. I haven't had the opportunity to look at what the victims bill would contains. But now it is important for the government to move into implementation without delay.
So now the Justice Minister has just announced that President Barrow has approved the arch to be named a Never Again Memorial Arch. And also those that are adversely mentioned, recommendations are given that they should be sacked and suspended. They have approved that. But what do you think about this issue? How do you welcome the idea?
Great. I welcome it wholeheartedly. I think the President made the right decision, a courageous one, and we should move on with that. Those who are recommended to be fired should be fired. And naming a national symbol of that nature, I think it's also a reminder, a permanent reminder, that this country will no longer reverse into the dark ages. That is not enough. It is not just enough to symbolize it. It is important to ensure it is institutionalized in our governance system. That is the most important thing. We can say all the nice things. The rhetoric is not so important. How do we ensure that the system is infected with the never again idea, the never again philosophy? That is what is most important.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So madi be a white paper nying release le nyimu kaitol timi alonko Gambia din Jamal ba batun kande nom prefinti mune mila tekti kabriya mansa kunda la minister mimbe mararing tilingola ko la kabriya la moy.
Well, yeah, minister kuma betele fo tonya bedame nga hila menna comme masakunda nyanta lola damen ila white paper menke ila nganiyo katandi recommendations ite lota minto ay meitandi kuma betale fo e hamol mel soton ko be silol mel tala e do la melta e be betat comme ka July 22 ka arch wonyin ka name Never Again Arch bitata bake ka sort of hybrid court lundi o be betata ni reparation school so akuma nyima le foje so mbe jikirin drong comme ya fo nyamen ibaka la wonyale implementation o nyi ay ke katabake nyala mi alon ko mobe day bulaje ha lankenema and ay kenin sawro kono
il faut la no sur le comme nying white paper la implementation obe tariara le because ni la track record jube jama commission mi alon ko wolle ka law la investigation ol bukata dulato. I know this one is different, but for yamira la implementation on nying abe tariara.
Well, coming to Babaga benefit of the doubt. Simuta drela kumoto, simuta la kumokan. But coming ninga koma jibe for B, be made that wrong. Coming jikilateo sitari je warante sitari hakilote sabati la dal ko be nyinko kala anyamale. Comme yafo nyame commission dul ketale wala reporto keta nyame. But hanu fan kola silo melitel bakan ni Never Again ye membe fo aluta menkan jama abije mantaro siloka ngajele mol upon menalon ko ye tinyaro kenum comme NIA director general and man white paper hit follow but comme in press conference men kita sa nga moy ko ya recommendation me yalandi Ousmane Sokan itelo bayle ko kudiman ko ni okuya because Ousmane So anyanta fa kontibo yaje and TRRC recommendation men ke recommendation sahari ngolom so butun comme yeo mol melta yebula masakunda kono cabinet kono ate fontata ning APRC kafoke yaje kata fo yaja mela kordato niyo ku sifal be kafu nyoma isi jakali isi jiglate ko ning do falande fata kala wonya barbuto yalon kolbe nyamen moka falino le wato wati masakunda asi sila kutatano le wato wati so nyin ko mom von nga manda ko e ka fa me a new chapter yewle yele amda ko isonda sila kutoleka so buton mo se duwe mo si etentu ke jay ko kan an ke fenkendi ka inimbara pour que sawarindi pour e même fo ke kukutati malan ko tem murula ku kotol kan nun sila kotol kan bari be sila kotoleta kan kata so mbejikiring maybe nyindobe tariala dal. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Mr. Kijera. Of course, you've been with the Victim Center for so long, and then you've been waiting for this white paper for so long also, and the white paper is out today. What is your take?
Well, we can only congratulate and commend the good work of the government through the Ministry of Justice. We congratulate the President and his entire cabinet, and the Minister of Justice and the staff of the Ministry of Justice for coming up with a very comprehensive white paper on the report of the TRRC. We have to all come together and support the process of the implementation process. We know that the government is working on the strategy that is going to guide the implementation process. There is a wider consultation by the Minister of Justice and the other relevant stakeholders. Well, of course, including the victims-led organization. In the past weeks, that we have worked on the findings and recommendation of the TRRC. Giving our opinion. To the government's white paper. So we hope that the government will continue to demonstrate the political will and the commitment to fully implement the recommendations of the TRRC.
Now you've listened to the minister and also the press conference. Are you impressed on what the minister said in his statement and during the press conference about this white paper? Are you impressed about the government's stance on this TRRC recommendation?
Well, the Minister of Justice has always demonstrated the commitment towards the work of the TRRC and towards the implementation process of the TRRC recommendations. He always had an open door policy with the victims-led organizations. That there are inclusive, the consultation, inclusive engagement with the wider victims community, with the victims-led organization and the CSO partners. So we're hopeful that whatever statement that the minister have delivered today, the government will live up to that expectation to make sure that the promises that are fulfilled, that there are commitment and political will towards implementation of the TRRC recommendations. I'm not forgetting that, bearing in mind that the whole process was initiated by the government of Adam Barrow. Well, it is his legacy. When it succeeds, it is his legacy. When it fails, it is his legacy. But I can assure you that the TRRC has done a fantastic job. It is a case study for others. To learn from the Gambia's model of Truth Commission, and the TRRC have succeeded greatly. In unraveling the gruesome atrocities that were committed during Yahya Jammeh's watch. That alone is a success, and we have also seen the government's commitment in paying reparations to the victims. They have made an initial contribution of $50 million, and they have further, pledged an additional $150 million to be paid out to the victims. So, basically, is to consolidate the gains that we have all registered so far. To make sure that we continue to engage the government constructively, to be part of the process. To lobby. The grassroots support also. For local input into the entire process.
So, can we say that you don't have any issue on what you had here today?
There is no issue. I think it is a move in the right direction. Basically, it is 100%. The government has agreed to fully implement. I think that is what is in the white paper. So, what lies ahead? Is to work together, to put our heads together. To make sure that we have a very, very successful implementation process. You're welcome. Thank you.
Brother Kendall, how do you solar lampol make it this look? I can't manila for solar enterprise. For the Mungul and Yimbanko can get them to it.
Sumanu baro, Unjurunko, Ikonga Faleko, Namu Badabanta, Ila Blazola, and Yagambia Vino, Amira Solar Enter, Nasola Enterprise. Solar Nimbatri can do, Kuran, Deda Sala, Aboros in Namo, Kagis and Odila, Amira Solar Enter, Nasola Enter, Nasola Enterprise. Ah, Jaliwo, Solar can Desato, Jaliman Fofina, Solar can Desato. Na enterprise, Sumanu baro, Unjurunko,